All right. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I was having some technical issues, but on my end, everything seems okay. Good to see you, Mustang. Renegade. How's my audio, guys? I mean, it's crystal clear in my headphones, so if it's trash for you, I apologize. What's up, Renegade? Rescue all the dogs. Yep, sending good vibes. Shit, I need some dental surgery. All right, guys. Today we're talking about Abby and Libby's case. Some of the things that have been bothering me are the things that I want to talk about, but we can talk about anything that you would like to as well relating to that case. Audrey, happy Thursday. Looks like you're getting some shit done. I had a lot of shit I had to do yesterday and the day before. We're planting grass in the backyard, so I'm getting that all ready. I did a lot of gardening. Had to spray for bugs and weeds in the front yard. And then I'm also spending most of my time working on a video for you guys. I don't know. Maybe it's more for me. It's on the Jim Duckett and Oki Owl kite case. It's taken me forever. It took me 8 hours just to produce 4 minutes of video. What's up, Patty? CJK, Mustang. Fight for Justice. Susie. Karen, good to see you. Poos. Always good to see you, Boston. Jill. All right, so the audio is good. Great. Because I like the comfy seat. The coffee just tastes better over here. What's going on, Melissa Wildcard? Thank you, Mustang. Thank you, Susie. Good to see you, Charlotte. Shout out to the UK. This account. Was looking at your Casey Anthony. Is that a call-in? Just curious. Yeah, we can make it a call-in. We're just going to be talking shit, really. We're going to be talking shit about Casey Anthony, and then also we're going to go back to basically the beginning, cover all of the information that makes her look like shit. You know, and why people hate her and why people should hate her, and why she's most likely has something to do with her daughter's disappearance. What's up? Anything I like? Good to see you. Julia, what's up? Good to see all you guys. I got your email too, Julia. Just haven't had a time to absorb it yet. Been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. How do you get new grass to grow when you have dogs? The way I do it, the way I've done it in the past, is you do it in sections. So my backyard lawn's not too big, so technically I can cut it into threes. So you just stake in some wooden posts, wrap them with some netting, similar netting that you would use for a garden or, to keep deer out. And then you do it in sections. And then once it gets to a certain length, then you really don't have to worry about it too bad. But when it's in that seedling stage, all it takes is one person or an animal to step on it, and then it just kills the grass. So yeah, I'll probably fence it off and leave like a walkway for the dogs, and then should be okay. What's up, Miranda? Good to see you, Charlotte. Who'd I miss? She Warrior. Stingy, what's up? The YouTube lair. It's the Bat Cave. Miranda, train your dogs to only go in one area, like the tall grass or woods. Yeah, right. Indy won't listen to me. And it's really not about where they go. They kind of only have one spot that they go to, but it's really just they trample it. Most of the time they go on the rocks by the fire pit. What's going on, Stephanie? You tell them anything I like. Still waiting for this coffee to kick in. Didn't Casey go to prison and found innocent of her daughter's death? Well, she wasn't. People aren't found innocent; they're found not guilty. And I guarantee she wasn't acquitted because they didn't think that she had something to do with the murder. They just didn't have any proof to convict her on the charges she was charged with. We all know that she knows what happened to her. No doubt about that. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. It's a good song. What's up, Don? Charlotte says it's getting warmer. Good, good. Don is still on the road. Can't wait to get on the road again. You be safe, Don. Safe travels, my friend. Good to see you. Kid was found with duct tape over her mouth. What more do we need to know? Exactly. What more do we need to know? If I had to guess what happened, it was an accidental death, and then she had help from somebody. Covering up and dumping of the body. Probably her boyfriend. Remember early on those prison calls, she's like, I need to talk to him. I need to talk to him. Like, bitch, where's your kid? So we'll probably listen to a lot of the 911 calls. We'll watch her new video that she posted on TikTok. Yeah, we'll get into it later. Save all your good questions for later because we got a lot to talk about. Hey, Alex, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Zanny the nanny. Yeah, the crazy thing is I think there really is a Zanny the nanny. I don't know if she was ever called Zanny, but we'll figure that out too. I always thought maybe there was a drug dealer involved, you know? Maybe she owed a bunch of money to a drug dealer and they kidnapped her daughter or held her daughter and accidentally killed her. So maybe Casey didn't know what happened, knew what happened, but wasn't responsible. But in a way, she was. Yeah, you might be right, Poos. Family annihilators are they exist. What's up, Ziggy? Your name always reminds me of Ziggy Marley. Some good tunes. Maybe she gave her chloroform, just to put her to sleep. What's up, Fishy? Yeah, that's right. There was a real Zaneta, but not a Zanny. I don't think she went by Zanny. What's going on, Fishy? Bad actors, good to see you. Okay, the main reason I wanted to go live today, I wasn't going to do a Delphi live stream because sometimes I've just been keeping a lot of my thoughts to myself. It's kind of turned into a circus, even more so these days. Um, but really, it's the clothing. And that might help explain the reason why I chose that as a thumbnail. I just don't quite understand what's going on. I don't know what story that tells. We have, I'm sure somehow it ties in with the white van and Richard Allen being rushed. But the more and more that I think about it, the more and more it tells a story of two attackers. So I was hoping you guys could try to help me understand. Maybe you guys have an explanation that you've been working on as to how Abby was wearing Libby's clothing, how she was able to get her hands in that hoodie. I mean, it tells me that she was dressed before she died or while she was dying. She's clutching the ends of the hoodie. There's mud all over her pants on the side as if somebody was wearing the pants when they became muddy. I guess that could have happened during the initial down the hill, could have happened during a struggle before they were forced to undress, could have happened when they crossed the creek, could have happened during a struggle on the opposite side of the creek. So I guess the main question is I'm not sure if Abby redressed herself or if the killer did it. And if she did redress herself, why would she put on Libby's clothing? Unless it was just because that's all that was there. She was extremely embarrassed. She's not moving until she gets some kind of clothing, and that's all she had available. I'm just really not sure why. And I have yet to find a case that was similar. There's a lot of cases that you can look into where killers redress their victims, but usually it's in some random clothes like clean clothes, like a robe or partially redressed. This counts as I don't know that it matters at this point. To me, I think it does matter. We don't know anything about this case, and to just kind of be like, okay, we got the guy. We finally have justice, and then just close the books. you know, this type of case study, we've learned so much, it's just too hard for me to do that. I don't think that's going to be my approach to true crime. I guess you couldn't call yourself a sleuth, right? If I did. This account says some of those details will never be known. I disagree with you. I think the curious mind prevails. Cheeks, what's up? She put on Libby's clothes because she was wet and could easily put them on because they were bigger. Why didn't she put on her own clothes? You know, you can put on your own clothes when they're wet. They did say that they found her clothing down the creek a little bit with her underwear still in, which is strange. That's almost as if, I mean, if you were forced to take off your own clothes, are you going to take off your jeans and your underwear at the same time? Or are you going to do it piece by piece? So there's part of me that feels like her clothing was ripped off. Fishy saying, did Abby have both shoes on? I believe so. I don't know if she had them on. I don't know if she put them on. I think it would be hard for her skinny jeans that she had on that you could see on the bridge to be completely taken off. Remember, they were taken off with the underwear at the same time. So that already gives me the image of a forceful, like she was forced to do that. I don't see her doing that on her own. And how does she get those jeans off over her tennis shoes? Miranda says, I don't think Richard Allen cared if Libby was redressed, but he told Abby to put on whatever was available. So, do you think he killed Libby and kind of spent some time trying to figure out what he was going to do with Abby? Like, did he give her some time and he was contemplating what he was going to do? Is that why things seem so different for each girl? What's up, Poos? Says, I have a wild take on the clothing. Maybe Richard Allen had Libby dress Abby. Well, Libby was killed first. I think that was made clear during trial. And I think it's not about, see, I'm still not convinced that Abby didn't redress herself, you know? And even if she didn't, why would the killer want her to be dressed? Does it have to do with the fact that he was just trying to conceal what his real intentions were? Did he have Abby redress, or did he redress her, maybe even while she was wounded? Maybe she was partially dressed. And when he went to do the same thing for Libby, he found that he had put Libby's clothing on Abby, and Abby's clothing was missing. And some of Libby's clothing was missing because we know that it was in the creek. Was he afraid to go back near that water after seeing the white van? Was he thinking, no way am I going back over there? Because if they see me, I'm screwed. And if they can see naked bodies from over there, they're going to become suspicious. So is that what he's doing with the clothing and the sticks? I don't know if you guys can still hear me or see me, but my laptop is kind of frozen up, so I'm just kind of in limbo. Okay, let's see. So I lost you guys for a minute. Here we're back though. What's going on, Mary? I think he kept Abby alive longer. I don't think he saw her as a threat as much as he did Libby. And maybe that's why he said, I'm sorry for what I did to Abby. Like he wasn't in a fit of rage. He wasn't in adrenaline mode. He literally sat there and contemplated, like kind of weighing his options. Like, if I let her live, what's going to happen? They're going to find me. Maybe that explains all of the timing. Remember, they believe that Abby was tied up, possibly. She could have been tied up with the t shirt. She could have been tied up with anything. And I think that's the way it was kind of explained to us, is that Libby was killed first and that Abby was killed sometime after. Not very long after. No, it froze up for a minute. I don't know what the hell happened. Well, Abby wasn't moved, Libby was. The bullet was found right there. So, my theory is he told the girls, get undressed, but I still don't understand why Abby's underwear were still attached to her jeans. Why would she? I feel like if I was being a victim and somebody's pointing a gun at me and they're telling me to undress, I'm going to do it piece by piece, hoping that's as far as it goes. Like right down to my boxers. I'm just going to be standing there. So I feel like somebody forcefully undressed her. Why would she personally take off her underwear and pants at the same time? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. The more and more I think about it, the more and more in my head, the way it's playing out, there's two men, at least two men there. What's up, Sean? And Bianchi, good to see you. Let's go to Julia. I think Abby redressed herself. Anytime I get out of the shower and try to put on jeans, it is a struggle when I'm still wet. But if we're Libby's jeans, it would be much larger. That would be easier. Well, remember, Abby's jeans, she doesn't have a choice of jeans. There's only one choice there. Her jeans were found in the water down the creek. The question is, if they were being told to undress on on land just under the private drive, why are her jeans being found in the water with the underwear still in them like they were taken off at the same time? And why are some of Libby's clothing found in the water? To me, this tells me that they were told to undress, or maybe even Libby had on her jeans. Like everything that I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Why is her shirt in the water but the hoodie isn't? You know, you would have to go through the hoodie to get to the shirt. And if Richard Allen is afraid and he's being so there's part of the story that we're not being told. I'm thinking that they were undressed and there was a struggle that happened in the water. I think that's where he was making them completely undress. Then the white van comes. Her clothing, some of Abby's clothing goes down the creek, and but that still doesn't explain the hoodie. The only thing that really makes sense is that the girls picked up their clothing in their hands and began running with them. Some of the clothing was dropped in the water, maybe even during a struggle or just falling, slippery rocks. I mean, it's just hard to really piece together. Now, if two people were working together to get them redressed, I can see them being upset. Like, okay, we don't have any more clothing. Like, we can't redress Libby. There's no more clothes. This is it. We put everything on Abby. And also, Abby could have been wearing two bras, right? That could have just been something that she did for that day. And why did she do that? Was she trying to impress somebody? Well, Poos, she didn't have jeans. They're just remember, Abby's jeans are gone. They're in the water, they're down the creek. However that happened, she doesn't have access to her jeans. So did she decide to put on the only pair of pants that were available? Or did the killer or killers put that clothing back on? So are you referring to the murderer? No desire to give any respect? I don't know. I feel like if this is a selfish man or selfish men, they're not trying to cover up the crime scene, they're trying to cover up the motivation. What's up, Paul? I think Abby was still alive, maybe played dead, unfortunately died, but shortly after getting dressed or used all of her strength during redressing and sadly died. Yeah, that's something that I could get behind. That kind of fits with some of the information that was provided to us. We know that somebody tried to enter into the cell phone unsuccessfully, and it was found under her. So she could have dropped it and fallen down. And being cold, laying there like this, because she had the hoodie in her midst like this. Now, you can't get like this unless you are alive. Unless somehow your hands are like this, rigor sets in and they turn like that. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I feel like she was alive when she put that on. So I think you might be right. I think Richard Allen could have told her, okay, I killed your friend. Like, I just need to think here for a moment. He's threatening her. Um, Reed chambers around that expels the unspent bullet right there, right there at the crime scene, because we know that Abby wasn't moved. Libby was moved a short distance. Threatens her, you need to get dressed. Or he's commanding her to do things. Maybe he made her help move Libby. I'm not quite sure, but he did move her to conceal her behind a large tree. And the majority of sticks were placed on Libby to conceal her, and not that many to conceal Abby. So I'm wondering if the clothing And the sticks are designed to do the same thing, to conceal. Maybe the clothing, maybe the sticks are just an extension of what he was trying to do with the clothing. If you notice, there's much more sticks used to cover Libby. Like he's taken more time. He's used more sticks. He's using large logs. There was more of an effort done to conceal her. Now, was he trying to conceal her or concealing her naked body from that private drive, from the source of fear? Yeah, you might be right, Paul. Yeah, and her shoes must have been off. So somebody either put her shoes back on or she did. And anybody who's planning to run is going to want to put their tennis shoes on. Thanks, Mary. Fishy says, "What up with the scarf?" Well, Teddy makes it seem as if they didn't believe it was part of the crime scene or not. He almost made it sound as if it just happened to be found there, like it had been in the water for quite some time. I really want to see this green scarf for myself because that could be used to tie somebody's hands. Well, one thing this tells me about the perpetrator or perpetrator, Charlotte, is that they knew the area. They knew that they were alone. They knew that they wouldn't be bothered. And that could be the very reason why they are in that very location. Honestly, I think he's muddy from crossing the creek, falling down the hill, falling in the water, scrambling up the hill on the other side. I think at that very moment we're dealing with a madman, like a devil. Yep, kind of stalling. Here's my shirt. Kind of talking, trying to negotiate. Here's a shoe. Here's a shoe. Here's my socks. I don't understand the underwear inside the jeans still. I feel like that tells me the killer did that. The killer removed those jeans. He forcefully did it. I'm trying to put myself in the place of the victim. Why would I help the killer out by taking off multiple pieces of clothing at the same time? But I could also see two separate killers, one on one side of the creek and one chasing the second victim across. And then once the second killer and victim number two finally make it across the creek, we have two separate scenes. We know that the wounds appear to be caused by two different types of blades. One girl was naked and one wasn't. I mean, each victim is telling us this different story almost. She would low. Or what if he was telling her to take off her pants and she didn't? Like she took off her shoes. Maybe she took off her jacket. She's standing there barefoot. The girls are just in their jeans and their shirts, and he's telling her, take it all off. And she says no. So then he forces, and that's when there's a fight. I mean, how do you explain the underwear inside the jeans together? I can't wrap my head around it. Fishy says, I want to know if Abby and her shoes on and tied, they didn't have socks on, and Abby had two bras, right? Two bras. I think she could have done that on her own. And the whole two bras thing tells me maybe she was trying to impress somebody. So that goes to the girls being lured there, catfished. Pooh says if they were wet from the river, her underwear were most likely coming off with the pants from being wet. Possibly, but either they were ripped off while she was in the water or before, and they tried to pick up. For some reason, I feel like the only thing that makes sense is they were told to undress or forced to undress, maybe partially on their own, some forcefully. White van comes. He says, "Let's get out of here, everybody across the creek." They pick up their clothing. They're happy to go across the creek because that's closer to getting away from where they are. That's half the battle, right? We just crossed this bridge that goes across the creek. The only way back now is over the bridge or through the creek. The killer tells you, go through the creek. There's part of you that's thinking, well, I'm already undressed. And that gets me closer to my goal of where my ride's picking me up, where everybody will be. I know if I run, I can make it to the 300 road that's right up there above the cemetery. So it's almost as if, okay, yeah, let's cross the creek. Like, yes, please. Yes, get me closer to getting out of the situation. CJK says, I've never believed it was more than one. I still don't. Okay, the question is why, CJK? Why? Why are you thinking the way you're thinking? Is it just to close the books? Like, hey, we have justice. We got the guy. Let's just go with the one killer theory. My brain doesn't function that way. I'm not going to be just satisfied with that, just to be satisfied with it. And if that's not the case, why? Why do you believe that? Underwear attached to the jeans happens all the time, especially with skinny jeans. He could have specifically told them to take off their underwear. I don't know. I'm not buying that, Miranda. Doesn't make sense to me. Like I'm not doing you as a predator any favors. And I'm definitely not taking off the last piece of clothing that's going to 100% make me naked in front of you, some sick guy. What's up, Sees Through? Do you think her jeans get dumped in the creek after she crossed without them? Mm, that doesn't make any sense to me. You know, why am I trying to redress one victim and then throwing the clothing out there that belongs to that victim? The only thing I can think of was the killer was cleaning the clothing in the creek, trying to get his DNA off of it. But then again, If he's afraid somebody's going to see him from that private drive, I just don't see him going back there. I feel like the clothing was dropped. They're running from one side of the creek naked, clothing in a bundle, kind of wrapped up in their hands like this. Like, hey, I'm going to need this. Hopefully, he will give me an opportunity to so I can put my clothes back on. Obviously, this guy's a psycho. He sees what he's doing is wrong. Thank goodness we were interrupted. We're going to be okay. Let me take my clothes. We're going to make it across this creek, and this embarrassing ordeal will be over before we knew it. But before they can even get across the creek, this dude's attacking them. They're fighting. Yeah, that seems very difficult. But then again, if you're out of your mind and you're feeling motivated and you're, for whatever reason, I don't know his motivation for doing so. We know he covered them with sticks. We know he covered Libby, who was completely nude, covered her with the majority of sticks. He didn't take that much time with Abby. So I don't know. I feel like the redressing and the sticks might be part of the same thing. Mustang says maybe they just picked up whatever clothes, and when they crossed the creek, they dropped some of the clothes in the creek. Well, that's my leading theory. I think he was getting very forceful. I think he forcefully removed some of the clothing from the girls. And that explains the underwear in the jeans. They tried to pick up the clothing after he got scared off by the van. They're crossing the creek, they're falling, they're slipping. Some of the clothing falls. The jeans go down the creek somewhat. And whatever clothing is left that makes it over that hill or over that embankment to where they were ultimately found is what he forced Abby to put on. He told her, put on all this clothing. And I think at that point, Libby was already dead. Abby was in shock. He has to force her to do it. She's just kind of standing there like, what the hell did just happen? Like, this is not real. CJK, yes, that's what I think happened. Carried clothing, it was dropped. Makes sense. It does make sense. Julie says, I wore 2 bras in middle school. I could see that definitely being a possibility. You know what? I always remember girls talking about that when I was younger. I don't know if it's something, an insecurity thing. I don't know. But I know one wasn't even like a real bra, it was a sports bra. Yep, and it could be. That makes sense to me. Yeah, it could be. Poos could have thrown him in the water, but why is Abby dressed? Why is she dressed? And then he's only throwing, she's wearing some of Libby's clothing. So it doesn't make sense for him to go dump. Like if all of the clothing was dumped in there, that would make sense. Like maybe even make it appear as though the girls drowned, that they might be found in the water somewhere. He could have even been hoping that the clothing would have gone further downstream. But if you're running, if you're afraid of a van, you're afraid that there's people that are going to see what you've done on the private drive. I don't see you going back to the creek where you're visible from the private drive cleaning DNA off of clothing. I did go that route a few times because it made sense to me. I always thought the killer picked the creek so that he planned to get soaked, wet, and muddy, and he was going to use the water to clean the DNA. Cheeks, I commented on the two bras a long time ago. When I was in high school, we used to wear two bras all the time. A lot of athletes do. I'm curious if they were both normal or if one was a sports bra. Yep, one was a sports bra. Absolutely. And there's no saying that it was Richard Allen that put two bras on her. Because remember, she didn't move. Yep, absolutely. One was a sports bra. What's going on, V? Yep, and the phone would have stopped moving at that exact moment too. Should have been around 2:32. And if she did redress herself sees through, at what point in time is this happening? Did she not run? Did the white van show up and Libby ran? So Libby runs and she has a whole pile of clothing in her hands. Is attacked. There's a fight in the creek. Um, Abby's taking her time. She's like, oh, like I'm not going anywhere until I put some clothing back on. And she's looking around. Well, here's some jeans. Libby took everything else. Maybe Libby accidentally grabbed the wrong pair of jeans and dropped them in the water. And by the time Abby makes it back across, it's too late. And then the gun is drawn on her. Like, don't you try to run. Like, get over here while I try to figure this out. Stephanie says he had something white in front of his jacket. Well, the witnesses said he had a face covering. So I'm assuming whatever this was, maybe it was a scarf, a white scarf, maybe a T-shirt that he had wrapped around his head, or maybe it was just one of those face coverings where you can just pull it down. It's really thin, and then when you need it back up, you just pop it back up. Miranda says he tried to deny motivation of SA. Oftentimes, killers will admit to killing, but not the SA. That's true. So he could have been trying to hide that, right? That could be the clothing and the sticks. But remember, Abby's hands were completely in here and had the ends clutched like this. How do you do that when you're not alive? Unless you're dying, you're somewhat alive. We know the attacks on both victims were somewhat different, similar but not the same. Julie says, I think Libby was left nude intentionally. If Richard Allen's intention was to not humiliate the girls, he could have just laid the clothes on top of the bodies and then put sticks on top of them. Well, I don't understand. If this was a random act, why does he care? Why is he doing all of these personal things? Right? He's never seen the girls before. He thought, he's just going to commit a sexual assault. The girls are in a high risk location and he's going for it. Okay, why not just Kill the girls where they are and get out of there. Why are you spending an hour and 45 minutes with your victims? Why is one nude? Why is one not? And if Abby wasn't moved, that tells me that he killed her where he wanted her. So with the gun, he's telling her, I want you to stand right here. Commits the attack on her. So to me, that tells me he had to chase Libby, and the fight with her happened in an area that he wasn't comfortable with. V says, I think that's why he said sex addict and planned. Soften the blow to Kathy. Everything is to soften the blow to mom and wife. I agree. That's his motivation. He wanted to tell the truth. And that goes to another thing we talked about before, V. If he's a sex addict, why was there no porn found in his home? No porn on his phone? To me, that is evidence of a burner phone. Where's he acting on these impulses? You go and ask somebody that's addicted to alcohol. You're going to find beer cans. You're going to find alcoholic beverages in the home. You're going to find evidence of that. If he's a self-proclaimed sex addict, where's the evidence of that? Pooh says he could have had zip ties. I mean, zip ties are easy to conceal, but I don't know how you're going to conceal the wounds on your victim. They're going to leave ligature marks. In Boston, if he was going to kill them, why not just shoot them? The decisions that this person is making are Richard Allen or him and his accomplice are making are very calculated. And if this is Richard Allen alone, he has the wherewithal. It's as if he's planned it out. Like, I can't use my gun. If I use my gun, people will pinpoint my location, and they're going to, if they suspect anything, they're going to come running down here. They're going to be aware of anybody running or fleeing the scene. And him as Richard Allen thinking, I'm not going to get away. So even though I'm frustrated with my victims, now I'm extremely pissed because they're fighting me. They're not listening to me with the gun. The gun's not working. I know I can't use the gun because if I do, I'm going to get caught. Especially from the guy that just pulled in on the private drive. I can't use this gun. He's going to be like, what the hell? Somebody's shooting on my property. I'm calling the cops. So he's getting more and more flustered. You're not doing what I'm telling you to do. And I can't use my gun. I've threatened you with the gun. It didn't work now. It's not working anymore. And I can't use the gun because otherwise I will get caught. Redressing a wet, dead body takes a lot of time, I imagine. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like they're going to be lifting their leg or extending their arms. You're going to have to do everything. You're going to have to pull, the dead weight up, pull the clothing down. I just don't understand what is motivating the person to do that. If anything, he's motivated to hide the sexual assault. And he could have become frustrated, like, well, okay, I've redressed one of the victims. It took me an hour and a half to do this. It took me an hour to get one victim redressed. and I'm out of clothing. All of the other clothing is left out there in the creek, and I'm not going out there. Now what? That could explain why he covered Libby with more than what he did Abby, because he had already covered her with clothing that he was able to find. Yep, I think she only had that choice, Cheeks. If it's one guy, he's not holding a gun while taking her jeans off either, in my opinion. No, could have reholstered his weapon. Hey, we got a super chat by Cindy Lean. Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate that. Cyber Warrior, good to see you. Absolutely, Karen. And if you truly try to put your mind there, it's absolutely terrifying. I don't care if you're a child or a grown up or an adult. Abby was sitting on top of one shoe. The phone was under her shoe. Yeah, there you go. I don't know why people struggle with that. So that definitely could have been something that she did on her own. All right, guys, we're going to catch up on the chat and then we're going to get out of here. What's up, brown eyed girl? I just don't feel like this is any clearer than it was when we started the live stream. I feel like I'm more confused than ever. I feel like it has to be a combination of things. The girls undressing and then mixed with being forcefully undressed, possibly redressing themselves or Abby redressing herself partially, and maybe even under duress or even after she was wounded. I do believe that Richard Allen could have done this 100% on his own. But the fact that he was there for so long at the crime scene, it's a little strange for me. If this is just some random act, why is he there so long? You know, what the hell is he doing there? He needs to get the hell out of there. If he's so concerned, I feel like he's just enjoying it. He's pleased with himself. He's absorbing what he has done. He's getting 100% absolute enjoyment from it. CJK says, because one can do it, absolutely. No other voices heard. I mean, I don't know that that's true or not. No other scene in the videos or with Alan, only one guy. Well, I don't know if there was somebody already on the south side of the bridge. I don't know if there was somebody already parked at the cemetery waiting on the north side of the creek. If that was the case, you wouldn't have anybody on video and you definitely wouldn't have any other Voices being heard on the video. Thank you, V. Good to see you, brown eyed girl. I mean, that does make sense, especially if you're barefooted and you step on those slimy rocks. You're going to fall. You're going to fall. Get a gun and a knife in their face. They did what they were told. Well, I can't think like a 13 or 14-year-old because when I was 13 and 14, I was fighting grown men and in and out of jail. I wasn't your normal 13-year-old. Richard Allen is a loner. He has no friends. I don't know who would help him unless it was TK. Well, he does have friends. He's good friends with Bones Nebergall. Cindy says, I'm still a lone wolf, but possible connection to the Dropbox. I think that's a good theory. If we have Richard Allen, this self proclaimed sex addict with no evidence, that tells me that he's smart enough to do everything on a burner phone. So if he's doing things on a burner phone that are connected to the Anthony Shots account, maybe he did have access, or maybe he knew the girls would be going to the trails that day. But I feel like it's more than that. I feel like this was pre-planned. Do I know that? Absolutely not. But I'm not done digging, that's for sure. Yeah, sees through. And Libby's jeans that Abby had on were covered in mud. Covered in mud. That's the point right there, V. That's where I'm at right now. If you can find that phone, which I don't think he got rid of, and those trophies, we can put this all to rest. And if Richard Allen kept those trophies, he's not going to tell anybody where they are. They're just sitting there, waiting to be found, covered in DNA. His, the victims, and anybody that may have helped him. I think they could be at his mom's house or on the property. They could be buried on his current property. I think they could be buried on the trails near his job site. Julie says it was an insecurity thing for sure. I mean, I feel like insecurity played a huge role in how the girls were targeted and why they may have fell for a possible catfish. It's to impress someone, but that's neither here nor there. Well, I think it is here and there. I think it goes to the whole catfish, being lured. Why is Abby crossing a bridge that she's never really been on and she's afraid? It's obviously taking her forever. You have Libby taking photos from the first, um, I don't know what that's called. It's like a plank or whatever you want to call it. So she's standing there. She's way quicker on that bridge than Abby is. She's taking photos of her further down, and Abby's kind of taking her time. She's scared. Like, I don't want to do this. But Libby's like, hey, well, if we want to go meet these boys, Anthony Schott said he's going to bring, a good looking friend with him. If we're going to meet up with them, we got to cross this bridge. They're over here on the south side. They're under the south side of the bridge. We got to go over here. But I don't want to. I'm afraid. Please, you got to. I can't go alone. Just best friends being best friends. But if you can motivate one of the friends, so let's say you're Anthony Schatz and you convince Libby 100% that you're a real person and that you're very interested and you would like to meet her. All it takes for you is to convince one friend, and then that one friend will do the convincing for you to convince the other friend. And the photographs that we have, it kind of paints that picture, right? That Abby's not having the best time on that bridge. She's taking her time. She'll do it. Just don't rush her. But that could be the very same thing that's motivating some killer who's kind of watching from afar, kind of like a fly trapped in a spider web, kind of triggers the spider. But I just don't see. I feel like this was all planned. The location, the reason that location was selected, maybe Abby and Libby were targeted specifically. We know that Richard Allen worked at the CVS that's right across the street from the Dairy Queen, and Kelsey was working at the Dairy Queen, and Libby spent a lot of time there. So he could have been stalking the girls. There's trails right there behind the Pizza Hut, some more historic trails. So I figure, depending on how long Richard Allen had for lunch, I don't know if they get an hour or a half hour or whatever, he could have been stalking the girls that way. He could have been sitting near them, overhearing them. They were also at Riley Park the day before. We know that Richard Allen's good friend, Nebergall, is actually really good friends with Anna Williams. So who knows if Richard Allen and Nebergall bumped into Anna. Maybe she doesn't remember and overheard the girls talking or something like that. But they could have been specifically targeted by somebody that is friends with Keegan Kline and began using the Anthony Schatz account to get closer to them. Yeah, I'm thinking that she never took it off. I'm thinking the bras, I don't think she got that far. Absolutely sees through. The one man that could have stopped this from the beginning is rotting in prison right now, just hoping that his wife Kathy doesn't divorce him. That's all I care about. I just want my wife Kathy to take my phone calls. He doesn't care about anybody suffering. Yeah, that makes sense to me, Julia. That makes a whole lot of sense. No, there was no ligature marks, Mustang. There was some they talked about it in court during the trial a little bit. They said that there was a little bit of evidence that one of the girls could have been tied up. And I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense, right? You have both girls controlled. You blindfold one girl, tie her up. Then she really doesn't know what's happening. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was his mask. The witnesses said when he entered in on the trails initially, he had his lower face covered. And if you're just going for a hike and you just made a horrible decision to attack these young girls for whatever reason, spontaneous, why are you entering the trails with your mask, with your face covered? You literally just left your mother and your sister in Peru or in Mexico. You went home, you put on a jacket. Why are you covering your face? It's not that cold. It's not cold enough to cover your face. But yet there you are backing in to the CPS building, covering your face, ignoring those girls, ignoring Betsy Blair, ignoring everything, and you're on a phone that nobody can find. Like, where's this phone? It's not your personal phone. The EMID information doesn't match with your personal phone. So, what the hell is going on? Your personal phone is nowhere near the trails. You're on a phone, it's not your personal phone. You got your face covered. Anthony Schatz is communicating with the girls the night before and the day of, luring them there to the bridge. You're leaving Peru, the place where the creator of the account lives. Like, I mean, I guess it's possible that it's all a coincidence. I just don't believe that. It don't make any sense. All right, let's go to a couple more and then we're going to get out of here. And I think we have another live scheduled at 12, but I'm going to be rescheduling that until sometime after lunch. Yeah, that's true. He could have gotten rid of a laptop. He could have gotten rid of a lot of things. What's up, Anna? I don't think anybody's accepting the box cutter as a weapon. They're saying that the weapon that could have been used could have been a box cutter, and that was part of Richard Allen's confession. And also, Reese Davis, there's no proof that he mentioned that in 2017. We don't have a letter from marked dated 2017 from Reese where it's written in there where Ron Logan told him that he used a box cutter. We don't have that letter. We have Baldwin saying that a letter exists or information was provided by Reese Davis in 2017 about a box cutter. The source of that information is not Reese Davis. It's not factual information. It's 100% coming from Baldwin. Unless I'm wrong. Right field, you ever heard of a volume control? It should be right there. Just kidding. You're referring to the gun, right? I agree with that. All right, let's go to a few more. Brian, wow, you believe everything you hear. Wow, come on, dude. You got to be smarter than that. Even though you haven't contributed anything, Brian. Shut the fuck up. I'm so smart. Look at me, Brian. Yay. Let's have it, Brian. What do you got to say, buddy? Since you're so smart. But I guess whatever you say, I'll end up believing, right? Because I'm so gullible. Anna says, I think the motive was something obscene with naked girls. At some point, a offender was distracted or something, and girls tried to escape, but he caught up. Yeah, I mean, that makes the most sense. With the mixture of the girls redressing, Abby redressing herself, and not being completely naked at the time. And maybe he did, maybe just put on her jeans and shoes. Yeah, he may have tormented her. Yeah, they need to find those trophies. He has them somewhere. I don't know. I feel like 13-year-old girls and 13-year-old boys are a lot alike at that age. They're both confused, stuck in between being grown and a child. Yeah, it could be buried near that Pizza Hut. There's a bunch of trails back there, private areas that I think might have been special for Richard Allen. Oops, sorry, Julie, I didn't see that. Maybe Anthony Schatz was bringing a friend for Abby. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking these girls were lured there. They were motivated to cross that bridge. Either Libby motivated Abby, or Abby was motivated for whatever reason. Remember, guys, they were up late and up early in the morning talking with Anthony Schatz. Yes, Kathy did move. She moved in with her daughter, which means they should have had plenty of money for an attorney. Poos, that could be right. Oh, he went there either hunting or he had info on their being there. And see, that just doesn't go to the random attack, right? Like, if you're planning to go to the high bridge to hunt for a victim, that's not really spontaneous now, is it? And if you're a hunter, maybe you have already lured your prey. Let's go to Mary. I just can't get over BG walking with purpose to the high bridge and standing there as if he was waiting for somebody. I think he knew the girls were going to be there and was waiting. So do I. It's like as if he was waiting on the bridge and he was using his phone. Anytime there was an update on Snapchat, he had access to that. Yeah, that's the thing, Anna. I think the information that was provided by Baldwin is a lot of it's false. I don't think Reese even knew about that until 2024. Anna KK was in better physical shape in 2017. I mean, you don't have to be in the best shape. I mean, Randy's a big guy and he's pretty heavy set. He walks all around, he walks all through there. And he does it quickly. So all this talk about people being out of shape and this and that, like, none of that really matters unless you actually like run these folks through the gauntlet, put them on a treadmill or something. You don't know what they're capable of doing. Looks can be deceiving. What's up, Tara? Yeah, regardless. All right, let me zip down. All right, looks like we're all caught up. All right, guys. Thanks for the quick chat. Like I said, we're going to be busy today, a lot of live streams. We do have a video coming out as soon as it's done. Um, so we have that to look forward to. Good to see you, Hiawatha. But that's going to do it for today's live stream. Rest in peace to Abby and Libby. Hopefully, one day we will know the truth. And remember, it's Richard Allen who could resolve everything. All he has to do is stand up and say, look, guys, this is what happened. This is why I did it. This is who was involved. And just tell the truth. Now we'll put an end to this. That I don't know, Karen. But you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you again real soon. Thanks for hanging out. Replay crew, you know what to do. Leave a comment. We'll get back to you. And don't forget, guys, we're 100% crowd funded. So all of the support is much appreciated. Thank you, Alex, Cindy, and Julia. I love you guys. I appreciate all of your support. And I will see you again very soon. Take care.